What's up, guys? It's Coach Grant with First Down Training, and today we're going to be breaking down how wide receivers can recognize if it's off-man coverage or if it is zone coverage, okay? So there's a couple different things that play into this, and these are going to be just kind of the basic concepts that you guys want to understand that's going to make coming up with your plan off the line of scrimmage a lot easier. And also, fellas, if you guys have any kind of feedback that you would like to submit for this channel or any kind of videos that you guys would like to see, don't hesitate to leave that in the comment section below. We always appreciate the feedback, and it's always great to hear from you guys because your guys' ideas help keep the videos going, so I 100% appreciate it. So now, main thing is with this coverage, this is going to be an off-man coverage look, okay? So what do you think actually tells you that it's going to be off-man coverage pre-snap, right? And the number one thing is going to be the eyes. That's what we should be looking at, right? Because when we come up to the line, we should automatically, first things first, I'm looking at the DB in front of me, right? I call it like a triangle method, right? You look to the corners, you look to the safeties, then you look to the box. So it's kind of like a triangle, kind of like a weird-looking triangle, but that's what I like to call it, and that's how I think of it. Now, looking at the corner and looking at the safeties can kind of dictate if it's going to be off man or if it's going to be zone, right? So if it's off man, you see that this DB's looking at you and his stance is squared up to you, that's what's going to tell you that it's off man coverage. Now, a lot of people will think that, oh, automatically because he's off, that's man cover, that's off man, right? No, there's zone coverage, and then a lot of people think the other way. This is probably the more common way. They think just because he's off, maybe about 7 to 8 yards, that it's automatically zone. That's not necessarily the case. A lot of it has to do with his stance and how his eyes are. Is he giving you man eyes or is he giving you zone eyes? Zone eyes we're going to go over in a second, but now we play this clip, and this turns into an off-man coverage look, and you see how that DB's watching the wide receiver, watching his hips the entire time. Now, why is this important? Why do I need to know this? Because you need to understand how to attack this specific route, right? So if this DB's an off-man coverage outside shade, I know that he's going to have his eyes on my hips. I know he's going to be watching my body language. He's going to be watching my torso. So if I have to run a 10-yard speed out in this case against this specific look, I'm going to attack as hard as I can to the inside shoulder, try to get him to flip his hips because that's where he's watching. I can't give any indicators with my pad level, and I'm going to be able to break it off. Now, if it were zone coverage, I might approach this thing a little bit more different. I might try to threaten him to a blind spot or what have you, and that's what we're going to look at next. But the two main things to determine that are going to be the eyes and then the body language and the stance of the corner in front of you, if it's man or if it's zone, because they could screw with you. They could go off man and they could have one high safety. A lot of people think that's cover three, but what's it going to look like when it is cover three? And that's what we'll look at in this next clip. So let's play this full speed again. Not the best rider from A.J. Brown, kind of slowed down, raised his pad level, and again, when it's off man and you raise that pad level, that's going to be the result. The DB's going to know when you're making a break, and he'll be able to make a play on this thing, okay? So now we're looking at this route from Odell here, and we're going to be talking about how do we know that this is zone, and what are some of the key things that we can pick up on to determine that it's zone. But before we get into that, fellas, I want to talk to you guys about a great opportunity on our website that you guys can get access to today, and that is going to be our Route Running Bible. What our Route Running Bible is, it is two programs combined together for the price of one. You could get access to our How to Improve Your Route Running in 10 Days training schedule, where it's a 2-week-long daily schedule with all the drills wide receivers need to do on the field. It's a 45-minute long video explaining each drill and breaking it down into a schedule for you, and a 49-minute long video on 20 different press releases, when to use each press release, and then drills to work on each one. So if you guys need to improve your route running, you want to know the specific drills you need to do, everything, check out that very first link in the description below where you can get access to our Route Running Bible for a buy one, get one free value. Check out that very first link below. Like I said, fellas, great opportunity. Let's get back to this video. So now, how do we know that it is going to be zone coverage, right? So again, it has a lot to do with the eyes, right? And it has to do with the stance of the DB, right? Because again, when he was an off man, where are his eyes? His eyes were on me, right? His eyes were watching my pad level. He was watching my torso, trying to see if my hips gave away the route, because it's true man coverage. Now, when it's zone coverage, this guy's going to probably have his eyes to the inside, trying to identify what the number 2 wide receiver is doing in case he goes into his zone. So think about the passing concept here, right? So we got Odell on the outside. Obviously, that's his number one priority. But if Odell runs a post and there's maybe like 2 safeties over the middle, that's their responsibility. And let's say the number 2 receiver runs like a 10-yard out or a corner. They do like maybe a scissors concept type deal. That's the corner zone. So he's going to try to kind of get a feel for us at the number 1 slot, because the only thing that where he really can't see is back here, the blind spot, and that's what we're going to talk about in a second. But he's trying to identify the number 2, because the number 2 could always do that outside breaking route right into his zone. And if he doesn't have his eyes on the number 2 or try to identify the number 2, then what's going to happen is he's going to be completely locked onto this receiver. This receiver could run a post. He'll run with him. And then we could hit this out route late to the sideline. And that defense does not want to give that up because that is his zone. right? That's pretty simple, right? But that's what you're looking for. You're looking for his eyes. And if he turns his front hip to you in this specific stance right here, you know that it is zone coverage 100% of the time. So what's different from that with off man? Now for this speed out, it's kind of the same thing. Odell is running a speed out, that 10-yard speed out like we talked about here. And he does a good job attacking inside shoulder. Same idea, getting him to speed turn. But like, let's say for example, he had to run like maybe a post route, right? Now, again, in off-man coverage, if he's outside shade on a post route, you'd want to stem him. You want to go right at his midline, get him to weave, and then break it off. But if you had to run a post route against zone coverage like so, I'd be trying to attack the blind spot. I'd be going right at his hip, maybe throwing a rocker step to the blind spot, trying to get him to speed turn like we did, and slip out underneath and run the post. So that's why it's different. That's why you guys have to understand it, because there's different ways of going about each one. Now, when it's zone coverage, another thing too as well, you don't have to change tempo. You don't have to do any kind of release. But when it's off man, you could change tempo. You could kind of change up the tempo of the route, the speed of the route. The break at the top could be a little bit more creative. But when it's against zone, keep it simple. Just worry about your stem, worry about attacking blind spot, and keeping good timing with that quarterback. Let's watch it again, full speed one more time. Great job by Odell. Perfect technique running this speed out against a zone coverage DB. All right, guys, we want to thank you for watching. I really appreciate it. If you guys have any questions at all, please don't hesitate to leave that in the comment section below. I always appreciate the feedback, and it's always great to hear from you guys. And again, like I said, if you guys have any content suggestions, what you guys would like to see next, we always appreciate hearing from you guys. And also, fellas, again, our route running Bible. If you want over an hour and a half's worth of specific wide receiver training content exclusively on our website, check out that very first link in the description below. I'll see you guys next time.